What is going on with FNAF fan games right now? Whenever mentioning the FNAF fan game scene, it's hard not to immediately think of FNAF Plus. It was one of the few games in the Fazbear Fanverse Initiative, and it was shaping up to be one of, if not the best FNAF fan game ever, until August 17th, when it got cancelled over some drama. But that's not what we're going to focus on for this video. Instead of focusing on that one little fan game and letting it take all of our attention, let's take a look at the FNAF fan game scene as a whole. Hi, I'm Johnny the Night Guard, and whether you hear it from one of my terrible old memes, one of my newer shorts, or if you're just new here, put in your headphones and take a walk with me, or sit down if you're tired. Let's talk about some FNAF fan games. Some ones that haven't come out yet that look great, and one that doesn't look so great that will never fully come out. On the theme of upcoming FNAF remakes, we have a game called Ultimate Custom Night Plus. Ultimate Custom Night Plus will fill in a lot of the gaps that were missing from the original game. Some of the characters that have somewhat redundant gameplay mechanics are being reworked in this version, the prime example being Bonnie, who now wanders around in the cameras instead of being stuck in Pirate's Cove with Foxy. The game will also add some FNAF 1 through 6 characters that didn't show up in Ultimate Custom Night, like Withered Freddy, Withered Foxy, and Funtime Freddy, and more. Mag_Freddy, the lead developer of the game, is gathering a team of composers to produce an original soundtrack for the game, and the one song that has been previewed is playing right now. It's called A Nostalgic Hell. The environments and sound design that we've seen in the few gameplay previews on GameJolt look like a massive improvement over the original game, and it looks like each animatronic is appearing in its full form from its respective game. Phantom Freddy has his old walking animation, and Freddy's laughing sound effects reappear. Ultimate Custom Night Plus looks like it'll stand on its own and serve as a great consolation gift for the loss of FNAF 1 Plus. I'll certainly be covering it when it releases, and all links to any projects mentioned in this video will be in the description. This fan game will follow Jack Thompson, a grieving father who lost his son to the missing children incident. The restaurants all closed down, all of the Freddy's restaurants, after this incident, and all equipment was relocated to a storage facility. Thompson applies to work at the facility to find more information on what happened to his son. The gameplay description says that there will be 5 nights, interactive cutscenes, after missions, and in-game cinematics. Speaking of cinematics, the office and other areas in the game that we've seen give off heavy Juniors vibes in the best way possible. Every teaser image of the game has an incredible polish that almost feels out of place in a free fan-made game. The soundtrack of this game is amazing. It sounds like a mix of Leon Riskin, Nintendo, and C418. One of the standout tracks is Fredbear Jazz. This is 100% the canonical Fredbear Family Diner music, and you cannot convince me of otherwise. Using the teaser images as context, it looks like this music comes from TV advertisements or cutscenes that probably play in between nights. The character designs here look unique, and once again, very polished. This is another fan game that's more than worth a follow on GameJolt, or at least a subscription to my channel to stay updated on when it releases. We're staying local with this next one because Fantron, the lead developer of Fazbear Facility, is a collaborator with the upcoming FNAF fan game Forgotten at Fredbear's. The game follows John Hudson, who starts working at a restaurant called Fredbear's Family Diner as the establishment attempts to recover from the tragedies that have happened there recently. Hudson was recently laid off from his previous job, so he has almost no choice but to take the job at Fredbear's, only to be antagonized by 2 angry spirits. One interesting detail on the GameJolt page is the inclusion of a white fox with the letters FTF. FTF most likely stands for Funtime Foxy, meaning that we'll encounter some of William's more sinister creations as we navigate the haunted halls, according to the game's description. Based on what we've seen in the teaser trailer for the game, the models take a more hyper-realistic approach, both in animation quality and style. Springlock suits have always been one of the more hard to picture concepts in the games, but you can tell that these suits, they were designed to be worn by humans because of the fabric that the arms are made out of. The characters look a bit like claymation. Their visuals are enhanced by how the characters resemble real character designs from animatronic establishments from the 80s, like Showbiz Pizza. The game will have traditional night shift segments along with a post-night activity and 8-bit minigames, kind of like FNAF 6. And something is said about taking time to relax at home, which may be a real fourth gameplay element, possibly. Charlie's death is confirmed to play an important role in the game, and with the little "It's Me" Easter egg at the end of the trailer, it's safe to assume that William Afton's youngest son will be starring in some way. And now for a brief message from our collaborator. If you live in the US and want a fantastic pre-built PC to help you experience RTX Freddy Fazbear in the next FNAF game in his full glory, use the link in the description to get free shipping and to help me out a little bit. The second FNAF game ramped things up quite a bit compared to the first game, making many people theorize about how much bigger FNAF 3 could be in scope if it escalated by the same factor that the second game did from the first. Exactly 1 week after FNAF 2 came out, November 18th, 2014, Golden Lane Studios uploaded this FNAF 3 concept trailer, setting the game in an abandoned Freddy Fazbear themed mall. Does that sound familiar? Well, Golden Lane Studios deserves a whole video in and of itself. There's a lot of lore behind it, mainly because it went on to become the animation studio behind Candyland, that big FNAF NFT project. A good video about Golden Lane will be in the description and at the end card of this video. The Annoying Orange used the thumbnail of Golden Lane's FNAF 3 concept trailer in the thumbnail of their reaction to the real FNAF 3 trailer, for some reason. Another bit of FNAF 3 fan-made concept art that blew up was this image on DeviantArt, with text saying "Welcome to Freddyland" with a transparent apparition of the puppet over the image. I bring all this up to say that the interest for a game about a Fazbear-themed amusement park has been present from the beginning, and the idea has unfathomable potential if done well. And Welcome to Freddyland by Scott Zimmerman just didn't deliver on that potential. The game starts with a tape recorded by William Appleton in 1987, where he formulates his evil plan.
All I had to do was convince a couple of volunteers to help me out with my work. Those poor little souls, those grieving parents, they never suspected a thing.
William actually says they never suspected a thing, and that he was able to get away with the murders because he's been friends with the sheriff of the town since high school. If you think that sounds contrived,
you ain't seen nothing yet.
Next, we play a minigame where we have to sneak into the park without getting caught. It's a direct copy and paste of the Ballora Gallery minigame from Sister Location, except with the Freddyland sign, which looks like this, and Freddy showing up as a sound cue every once in a while.
Someone is near. Reveal yourself.
And you have to stand still when Freddy shows up, and then keep walking when he leaves. Once we sneak into the park, we have to click these little squares until they match our handy dandy notebook 5 times to restore the power. Now, I'm sure you're asking, if the power is out, how on earth was the Freddyland sign lit up when you were sneaking into the park? Fear not. The game designer thought of this detail and included an explanation in the gameplay instructions for this minigame. Faulty wiring made the sign light up at the time of your arrival. That's right, faulty wiring made equipment in an abandoned amusement park light up when there is no power to speak of right as you got there. Our main character points out, hey, Freddy shouldn't still have power and be active after decades of abandonment, but the sign lighting up at the exact time that you get there, at the most convenient time imaginable, that doesn't have to be supernatural, no. That was actually some faulty wiring, sorry. While we're restoring power, Freddy appears behind us at random times, along with a laughing sound effect. Luckily, we brought a flash beacon from our office, and Freddy hates light so much that it causes him to vanish from existence when we activate the beacon by pressing the space bar. After the power is successfully restored, we find ourselves in an office that looks a bit like the FNAF 6 office. There is an actually really well designed Faz monitor in front of us, and we use it to reboot all of the animatronics. Our cast of animatronics includes Freddy, Bunny, Chica, Foxy, Balloon Girl, Uhyeah, and Tristy or Trist. I'm not sure. I have no idea who those last two are supposed to be or what they're supposed to reference. All I know is they don't show up anywhere in the demo. To reboot the animatronics, we click the reboot button for each animatronic and wait for the number to go from 0 to 100. But Freddy will, just like in the other game, appear behind us with a sound cue. We have to press the space bar to get rid of him, and turning around causes the counter on the reboot task to pause. Completing this gameplay segment gives us a post-night 8-bit-ish minigame where we play as a kid looking for his friend Lucas so he can ride King Da Fred. Our main character in the minigame is named Jeremy Fitzgerald Jr. Because if there's anything we needed in FNAF, it was another Jeremy. His dad used to work at Freddy's, but guess what? Something happened with the stupid white fox, quote from Jeremy, and his dad's head around 1987. And people call it the bite of something. And Jeremy doesn't know why they call it the bite of something. He just knows there was a fox and something happened to his dad's head. There was some head trauma and they call it the bite. But he doesn't know what that means. Fortunately, Freddy Fazbear says that he can be Jeremy's partner on the King to Fred ride. But first he says he needs to put on his roller coaster shoes. That's what he said. Freddy and Jeremy agree to meet up behind the bathrooms. But things don't go as planned. There's a purple security guy behind the bathroom, and he's not very nice to Jeremy. I'll just preface this, I actually really like the first segment of Night 2. We walk around the park with an EMF detector, only standing still long enough to use it on Bonnie and Chica for a few seconds. This segment doesn't repeatedly show us fully lit renders of the animatronics. They hide in the shadows, looking genuinely ominous, and it requires effort to identify which animatronic is which. Staring too long results in you getting jump scared, and safely scanning Bonnie and Chica 5 times each allows us to determine that the animatronics are indeed haunted. Once we make that discovery, we find a surprisingly clean office in the backwoods area and an old laptop that still functions somehow. Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy move around the cameras, and we click a button to play a random audio sample to the corresponding camera. Each animatronic has a specific sound that triggers familiarity and calms down the spirit possessing them. So we're literally rolling the dice 4 times for each animatronic. If the wrong sound happens to play, the animatronic will appear at one of the 3 windows that wrap around the side of us, and we have to look at the animatronic and guess what button we press? We press space, and the animatronic is immediately gone. Once again, we see the animatronics in full lighting. We see the full model sitting there. No shadows to obscure them or make them look ominous. There's Chica. There's Foxy. There they are. Night 2 ends with another 8-bit-ish minigame. This time we play as Lucas, who just got done hiding from Jeremy for a prank. So now he's looking for Jeremy, and he goes and talks to all the kids that Jeremy talked to, and he's like, hey, where's Jeremy? And they're like, we don't know. He said something about bite of 87. He doesn't know what that means. He's not the smartest kid on the block. Someone says they saw Jeremy behind the bathrooms. So we walk over to the bathrooms, and there's a giant pool of blood on the floor and a bunch of bloodstains leading into the forest, showing that someone dragged the body into the forest. And then the 8-bit minigame ends. And that's Welcome to Freddyland. That's the demo. That's the first 2 nights that we get. And that's all we're ever gonna get, sadly. Or maybe that's for the best. But wait, there's still a little bit more. By completing Night 2, we unlock the second tape. And it's William Appleton, once again. Except, like FNAF 2, this is a prequel tape. In 1976, when William Appleton was first promoted to vice president of Fazbear Entertainment.
Figures that Henry is oblivious enough to let me become his vice president of the company. Now I could gain his trust and do my own bidding under everybody's noses. It will be so fun. August 23rd, 1976. End tape.
He says he's surprised that he got promoted because of what he did on the opening day of Fredbear's. I don't know what he did at Fredbear's, but I don't think it could be related to Charlie's death because it sounds like that's what he's planning on doing in the tape from 1987 because he says he'll distract Henry with his daughter. But Charlie is supposed to be the first to die, and the missing children that's in it definitely happened before 1987 because he's talking about how he discovered Agony and Remnant and all those things. So the timeline's all over the place. I don't know what's going on. Once you understand the gameplay loop, there's almost no way to die because it's just so incredibly simple once you understand how to play. So you're never realistically gonna see all the jump scares, so here they are. When I saw the Chica jump scare, all I could think of was Mr. Beast! Chica! The cupcake! Now, I don't want to fully hate on this game. Like I said, I love the EMF detector game, and if these gameplay loops were actually more challenging, they would be genuinely fun. Scott definitely had something with this. He just didn't develop it far enough, and there was no subtlety at all. We keep on seeing the characters, again, in full relief, We can see every corner of their model. They work best when they're obscured in shadow. There's no subtlety, and that carries over to the story as well, because we have William literally twirling his mustache and saying, it will be so much fun. There's no motivation there. He's just one of those villains that does things because he enjoys doing those things. And this is the game over screen. That game over screen alone almost makes me think that this whole game was a satirical jab at the FNAF community, but there's no way it is, simply because of Scott's response to the criticism. When this demo was released a couple of weeks ago, it immediately received a lot of criticism. No surprises there, but some of the criticism came from the very people who helped make the game, and in response, Zimmerman blocked anyone who spoke of the game with anything less than glowing praise. He removed credit from the members of the development team. He removed their credit from the game if they contributed to or agreed with the criticism. Eventually, Scott Zimmerman just deleted the game from GameJolt and privated his Twitter account, disabled comments on YouTube on the teaser trailer, and left GameJolt altogether. Members of the team have come out to say that Zimmerman refused to credit them in promotional material for the game that they created even before any of this backlash happened. Within a couple days of the demo's existence, it was all over. If there's one thing we learned today, it's that the FNAF community is as dramatic as it is talented. Being a part of the FNAF community is a lot like playing FNAF 2. There's always another disaster just out of sight, waiting for its turn to play. If you enjoyed this video, consider joining my Discord server to connect with me and other viewers. Click the card on screen to see how the channel that made the FNAF 3 fake trailer became the studio behind the massive, supposed FNAF NFT scam, Candyland. This has been Johnny the Night Guard. Thanks so much for watching. Comment what I should do next. Bye.